The spread of misinformation, especially on social media, is giving rise to fringe conspiracy theories that have no basis in reality. In a new piece for NPR, Zach Mack shares his family's journey as his father's far-right views led him down a path of falsehoods and fictional beliefs about the political world. Mack writes, quote, like so many Americans, Dad had gotten swept up in conspiracy theories, chemtrails, Biden body doubles, the idea that a shadowy cabal he calls the globalists is secretly running the world. And Zach Mack joins us now. Zach, thanks so much for being here. And we so appreciate your article and the way in which you share so much about your family and how you are sorting through all of this as well. In the piece, you mentioned that your father started to kind of pick up some of this around the time of COVID. Can you kind of walk us through how this really began?
Yeah, I mean, going back, he's definitely always been sort of distrusting of institutions and skeptical of vaccines, and he's deeply religious. And I think in 2019 he started to say things like Mark Zuckerberg didn't really create Facebook and stuff like that. And then, you know, like so many people during the pandemic, a lot of people got radicalized, especially around, you know, COVID conspiracy theories and things like that. So that's really, I think, where it picked up for a lot of people. And he started to believe in things called like online prophets, these people who claim to commune directly with God, and they often are spreading right-wing, like, you know, conspiracy theories.
Yeah, and you start off the article by talking about this bet that you made with your father.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that, kind of what happened and how it ended.
Yeah. So, you know, the last couple of years, he's been getting more and more into these conspiracy theories. And about a year ago, over Christmas, things sort of came to a head. And I challenged him. I said, hey, I think you're being radicalized. I work in media. I know how this goes. He didn't believe me. And so what he did next was he challenged me to a bet for $10,000, which is more money than either of us have ever, you know, we're not gamblers and we're not rich. So that was surprising to me. He challenged me to a bet saying these 10 predictions will all happen by the end of 2024. And when they do, you'll understand that I'm right and you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, okay, you're on. And you know, I took a look at the list, and it was all very politically apocalyptic predictions. He was sort of predicting that, you know, top Democrats like Obama and Biden and Pelosi would be rounded up and convicted of treason, that our country would come under martial law, that Trump would be reinstated without an election, stuff like that. And I was just like, you know, I didn't think that was going to happen. So I took that bet in hopes to be able to kind of change his mind when it was over a year from then.
And did you?
Unfortunately, I did not, but I did learn a lot about him and a lot about conspiracy theories and how these ideas sort of take hold and what their appeal is. But yeah, no, I was unable to convince him. Like so many sort of doomsday cults or big predictions and prophets, he sort of gave the same excuse, which is that he just got the timeline wrong.
What was so interesting about your piece, too, is that you're also reporting through it. You're talking to your dad. You're talking to other members of your family. You also were talking to a lot of experts to kind of get their advice or information about this. And I'm curious what you heard from them.
Yeah, they all say the same thing, which is that it's really hard, that these ideas are incredibly insidious. And once someone kind of goes down that rabbit hole, it's really hard to get them out. But that ultimately, the more you approach the situation with curiosity, with empathy, and really try to get under the hood and understand what are these ideas doing for them. Because I mistakenly thought my father just had the wrong facts. And if I just gave him the correct facts, then he'd be on his way. But that's just not how it works. And it's about understanding what these ideas are doing for him.
Yeah, and you also talk about the impact this has had on your family. You talk to your sister and your mother. What kind of impact has this had on everyone? Because I think the point that at least I took away from is that these kinds of theories, once they take root, it doesn't just affect the person that is, you know, beholden to them. It kind of affects everyone around them.
Yeah, I think his relationship with everyone in our family has deteriorated quite a bit. It's also, for my mom, it's hard to share a home with someone who you don't share reality with. And he's doing things like spending money on precious metals and survivalist supplies because he thinks the grid is going to get taken out. And it's one thing to be prepared; it's another thing to be paranoid and spending money that you don't need. It can just it all adds up very quickly. And yeah, things it's been extremely difficult for the family.
Well, Zach, we really appreciate you sharing this with us and with a big audience through the piece. It was really fascinating to kind of get inside the mind, and you handle it so delicately. And it was, fascinating to see. And I think so many people can relate to it, knowing someone
Yeah.
going through this as well. So thank you so much for your time in reporting, and we're wishing you and your family all the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.